And we will indeed see whether we like this or not, because, ladies and gentlemen, welcome again to Tor Poznań in Poland. Welcome here for the opening race of the third weekend of the Eastern European TCR in 2022. And we are here at this 4-kilometer racetrack. The cars already lined up on the starting grid. Spectators ready in their positions on the grandstands or on the rooftop, as you see, of the paddock building. Cars waiting for the start of the race. Safety car there as well. And there has been quite a significant delay to this race, because we had a safety car, late safety car, in the endurance race about an hour ago. We were wondering what actually happened, because we could not find any footage whatsoever on the cameras, and then the news reached us that there was a big crash of Piotr Vera in that race, and apparently he went even through the barrier somewhere. So we really hope that the driver is okay. We will have to collect more information on that a little later on, but now it is time to do the TCR racing. This is the top of the tin top touring car racing that we know. Cars racing under regulations very similar to even the World Touring Car Cup, also European Touring Car Championship as well. And we are here on the starting grid for the TCR Eastern Europe Round 1. My name is Pavel Fabry, I am your commentator for the weekend, and we are looking at Václav Janík, who has lined up his Hyundai i30 on the second row of the grid. It has been a great week, and I do mean the whole week, for the Janík Motorsport team, because they are coming to Poland on the back of a big success, of a big breakthrough. You may remember the opening round of the Eastern European Championship this year in April in Hungary, where the team also brought not only its regular pair of i30s, but also a couple of brand new Hyundai Elantras, fielded by Joachim Galáš and Maťo Homola, and they took the opening round of the championship as a basically springboard and a preparation round for their upcoming European TCR campaign, in which they have already scored a beautiful result. Actually, last week it was in Spa in Belgium, where they ended up 1-2, or scored 1-2, first and second on the road, and Joachim Galáš took his first victory. It was the first victory of the Czech driver in the European TCR in its current guise. Maťo Homola came home second to underline the success of the team, and Janík Motorsport seems to be somehow still on the wave of success, because it is Petr Semerad who scored his first pole position in yesterday's qualifying for the Eastern European TCR, and that is why he lines up his Hyundai i30 on the front row of the grid. He has high hopes from this race. He says that this is a track that rewards bravery, because there are places around the track where it is definitely beneficial if you are brave enough to keep your foot planted down and keep the throttle open and simply remain on the gas through some of the corners towards the back end of the circuit, which is exactly what Petr did. And he did actually win the qualifying with a bit of a gap to everybody else. He was the first to dip below 137. He actually did 136.376. That scored him his first pole position of the season, and he beat his nearest competitor by round about 0.3 of a second. That nearest competitor, that is Petr Čížek in the Full-In Race Academy Cupra, the sole entry for this weekend. The teammate of Petr Čížek, Karol Vitka, is not starting here in Poznań because he had a big shunt the last time out in Austria, big crash, and that is also why Karol Vitka is not entering the round 3 of the championship. Row number 2, that is Václav Janík in third, and Bartosz Groszek, P4, local hero, who made his debut here in Poznań actually a year ago in the colors of Aditis Racing Team. This is the other car, Radim Adamek, the team boss, the team owner, Radim Adamek lining up 11th on the starting grid, but his teammate Bartosz Groszek, he scored outright victory on his debut here last time out and then went on to get a string of podium finishes. In the end, he took the battle against Karol Wittke for the third place overall in the championship, which he lost eventually, but ended up nice P4 in the championship. And for this year's season, he is a championship title hopeful. Bartosz Groszek also is actually the championship leader entering the round number 3 of 2022. Milenko Vukovic behind him in second. Bartosz Groszek has scored 64 points so far, having taken 1 victory and then a trio of 4th places. Milenko Vukovic, he was third twice in Hungary, then didn't score any points in the first race in Red Bull Ring thanks to a reliability issue, but then took victory in race number 2. Actually, we have done 4 races so far in this championship, and we have seen 4 different winners. So it was Bartosz Groszek opening the season with a victory in Hungary. And then Joachim Galash, victorious in race number 2 in that brand new Hyundai Elantra, still not even in colors, not even in a livery, all plain white, being brought to the track really fresh from the factory and then continuing on to compete in the European TCR. So that was the second winner. That means from Hungary we saw Bartosz Groszek and Joachim Galash taking victories at Red Bull Ring. It was Patrick Zing making his one-off appearance in the championship and then returning to the German TCR. Milenko Vukovic scored his first victory, having spent 5 or 6 years on the sidelines after his 2016 German touring car title. So it is 4 out of 4, and the question is clear. Is it going to be 5 out of 5? Because on the first 3 positions on the starting grid, we have 3 drivers who are still waiting for their first victory in the Eastern European TCR. So first victory hopefuls, Petr Semerád, Petr Čížek and Václav Janík. A trio of Czech drivers on top 3 positions here in Poznań, and then behind them the championship leader Bartosz Groszek, who is definitely hungry for another home victory. It was a difficult weekend for him the last time out in Austria because, having been so successful in Hungary in the season opener, he had brought significant ballast to the Austrian hills, which penalized him heavily. In the end, he did the best damage limitation he could, and he scored a double of 4th place finishes. This is the track here in Poznań for rounds 5 and 6 of the championship. 4,083 meters, and we have got the fearsome, fast sweeping right-hander. That is the opening corner called Baba Yaga. And then the hardest braking point on the track, you'll see in a minute or in a second, T3 basically here on this map. So third corner, that's the place where we are expecting most of the dramas in this race, but then all the tight and twisty sections that follow also should bring interesting actions. Here we are actually entering the go-kart part of the track, where the racing track is also a part of the local go-kart circuit. Radim Adamek, he is going to be watching everybody else right in front of himself. He's closing off the starting grid, but he will be looking to make up some places. Let's see what else and who else we have got on the starting grid and in which position. So we've mentioned Petr Semerád on pole, alongside him Petr Čížek. Row number 2, that's Václav Janík and Bartosz Groszek. P5, Sebastian Steibl still waiting for his first TCR victory. In 6th, Sanel Čehić in his season's best qualifying. P7, the latest Eastern European TCR winner, Milenko Vukovic, this time out actually starting in the older evolution of the Renault Megane RS, because it is his son, Milan Vukovic, who is taking on the newer incarnation of the French hatchback. Milan Vukovic on debut scored 10th place in qualifying, having started the season in the Renault Twingo Cup actually. So this is a big step up for Milan Vukovic. Let's see how he does in the Polish round. And between him and his dad, two other drivers, Žarko Knego in P8 and the local hopeful Tomáš Řepecký in his VW Golf GTI. And then, as already mentioned, the top of the starting grid in 11th, Radim Adamek in the colors of Aditis Racing Team. Petr Semerád hoping for a good getaway in his Hyundai i30. He said that his team has got new sensors from Hyundai from the factory, which should definitely make up for the bad start from the previous round. The red lights are coming on. And we are racing here in Poland. Great getaway from Petr Čížek, but he spun his front wheels significantly, but he's still going to take on Petr Semerád and the fight into the first corner. Petr Semerád staying ahead. And it is Milenko Vukovic already moving up a couple of places. Bartosz Groszek trying to dive down the inside alongside Václav Janík. That's exactly what he mentioned yesterday. That was his plan. Radim Adamek fighting Tomáš Řepecký. And now we are coming to the Devil's Smile. Václav Janík already off the track on the grass, but managing to come back onto the grass, onto the track again. Bartosz Groszek trying to have a look down the inside on Petr Čížek. Ooh, there's a bit of a drift for Milenko Vukovic. No, that's Milan Vukovic already having made up a couple of places. Bartosz Groszek down the inside on Petr Čížek, moving up into second. Petr Semerád has already opened up a bit of a lead in the first place. There's at least 1.5 seconds of a gap from second place Bartosz Groszek, who is having a mega opening lap, but so is Sanel Čehić, up into fourth from sixth on the grid. And then Milenko Vukovic up into fifth, behind him Sebastian Steibl and Žarko Knego. So it was a poor getaway for Václav Janík from P3. He's down somewhere in eighth, trying to make up places. Milan Vukovic now fighting hard with... oh, there's a bit of a problem for Sanel Čehić. It's a lot of a problem for Sanel Čehić, who's spinning on that back section, and the car's rolled and ends up on its roof. Sanel Čehić on its roof. This is definitely going to end up with a safety car, maybe even with a red flag. Petr Semerád leading the way, completing the opening lap of the race, and this is a big drama on the opening lap. Petr Semerád leading from the local driver Bartosz Groszek and Petr Čížek in third, but we are expecting safety car at least, maybe even red flags, because there is Sanel Čehić, who has rolled his Audi and has ended up on its roof. That was a big drama. I'm not even sure whether there was a nudge from one of the opponents or he ended up sideways on his own. However, that's a big drama, and we do not see any reaction from the race control just yet. This is Milenko Vukovic defending, and there are Žarko Knego and Sebastian Steibl side by side on the infield section. Behind them, Václav Janík trying to make up ground after that bad start of his. Petr Semerád leading the way, and what is going to happen, because there is an Audi rolled over. This is a double yellow flag being waved in this section. Naturally, that is only logical, and the medical car's already at the scene of this fiery crash. Also ambulance coming, so he lost it. Seems like he lost it on his own and then ended up on the infield section, but then there's a bit of a hill there that is not covered with any sort of barrier, and the Audi ended up on its roof. This must result in red flags in my mind, because this is going to take some time to clear everything away and get the car the right way up and actually see what is with Sanel Čehić. And we are really hoping that the driver is fine. That was a major drama to open the race with. The rest of the pack is now returning very slowly towards the start and finish straight. Safety car will be out. We see the SC letters on the electronic panels all around the track now. So the safety car is out. And car number 74 under investigation for jump start. That is Žarko Knego. Safety car is out. That is only logical. The race control does not want to stop the race unnecessarily. We have already had a big delay of this race due to a damaged barrier earlier on after the massive crash for Piotr Vera in the endurance race. But there is another 2-hour endurance race still on the schedule and a couple of other small races waiting. So let's see what happens. But Petr Semerád kept the lead of the race. It seemed like Petr Čížek managed a slightly better reaction, but spun his wheels quite significantly, trying to get going, trying to get some grip and get some adhesion, which he didn't really do. And that's why he, in the end, ended up losing a place to Bartosz Groszek. And Bartosz Groszek, we were chatting yesterday in the evening. I was asking him, so what is your plan for the start of the race? And he said, yeah, down into Baba Yaga, down the inside on Václav Janík, and then let's see what happens into the second corner. There is another possibility to pick up places. That is exactly what Bartosz Groszek did pretty much. He overtook Václav Janík on the inside into the first corner, and then actually exiting the Devil's Smile, that is turn 3. Got a better traction, better momentum, got alongside Petr Čížek, and as they say, licked the stamp and sent it down the inside, and that was it with the second place. Petr Čížek lost that one and is now down to third. Petr Semerád, however, on the other hand, remained away from any sort of drama, and that is exactly what he was hoping for. He also mentioned that there are new bits and pieces from Hyundai for this weekend. Petr Semerád has been having trouble with starts in the opening rounds of the season, losing places. But this time out, the getaway was nearly spot on, and the Czech driver remained in first position. Bartosz Groszek right behind him. He will be hungry for the home victory. He has been among the absolute fastest. Safety car back into the pits, and it seems that the Audi is still going to be left there. The driver is away. And we are racing here in Poland once again. Petr Semerád already having to defend hard from Bartosz Groszek down into the first corner. And now he's being forced a little wide, and Bartosz Groszek trying to find some space down the inside, but remaining behind Petr Semerád, who is kicking up a little bit of dust into the face of Bartosz Groszek, who is completely unfazed by that. Green flag, and we are racing again here at Tor Poznań. After the early drama and the rollover performed by Sanel Čehić, we are definitely hopeful that everything is going to be all right with him. But it seems that he managed to climb out of his car and walk away from the crash. And he was transported in the ambulance into the track's medical facility. Petr Semerád still sliding a little bit, and really using every millimeter of the track, sometimes even putting a wheel a little outside, and he's definitely exploiting his rallying experiences on this track. He said that specifically this corner, that really requires a brave heart. Semerád leads the way, but Bartosz Groszek remains close in second. 17 minutes left on the clock, and the leading duo is already pulling away from the rest of the pack. Petr Čížek trying to stay together with them, but not really managing to do so. On the previous lap, Petr Semerád did 130.0, Bartosz Groszek 138.4. Petr Čížek only 139.2, and everybody else is already north of this mark. So everybody else doing high 139s. Only the leading pairing managing to stay regularly in 138s, and they both set their personal bests on that previous lap. Petr Čížek was actually really happy with the setup of his car, and he was even up by 0.3 of a second on his previous best in quali on his last lap, but then he encountered Václav Janík on the track, and that's why he says he didn't manage to improve further. So he said he would have been there or thereabouts. Ooh, we have to be careful here. Milenko Vukovic had a bit of a sideways moment there. And this is still quite surprising that we are leaving stranded cars right next to the track and then going green, because if one car, I mean, yeah, it's a place where you do not normally crash, but we've seen already one car crash exactly there on that spot. So why shouldn't a second car be able to do exactly the same thing? It is potentially dangerous. Žarko Kněgo entering the pit lane. He was indeed then found guilty of jumping the start. That's why the Croatian driver is forced to take the pit lane and serve a drive-through penalty, which is going to drop him all the way down to the back of the pack. Petr Semerád leading the way. There is Žarko Kněgo, having just served his penalty. Václav Janík trying to make up places after that poor start, and he somehow ended up on the grass on that opening lap, exiting Baba Yaga. So he's now trying to get back in touch with Milenko Vukovic, who's right in front of him. Milenko Vukovic carrying significant ballast this weekend, having been the fastest in Austria. Actually, if we check the weights, now should follow the part where I tell you what happens when we check the weights. Unfortunately, I'm very sorry, I just lost it in my notebook. So yeah, let's keep watching this beautiful fight and be right back with it. Should be carrying 40 kilos into this race, Milenko Vukovic. Milenko Vukovic indeed carrying extra 40 kilograms in his car, having been the fastest in the qualifying at Red Bull Ring, and then actually scoring a victory only in the second race of the weekend. Petr Semerád carrying further 30 kilos. He was on the front row there. Petr Čížek and Žarko Kněgo and also Václav Janík being awarded with extra 10 kilograms of weight in their cars. Everybody else who's present here in Poland has got no extra ballast. And the temperatures are still incredibly high, 30 degrees Celsius, that's the air temperature, 48.4, that's the track temperature. So that's dropping a little because it needs to be said that it's not, well, still hot and sunny, yes, but there are some clouds here and there blocking the view for the sun, and that's providing at least bits of shades here and there. Still not much, but the track temperature has dropped a couple of degrees from the endurance race earlier on. Still, it is incredibly hot, and that is why it is so challenging for the tires. So everybody now trying to survive the middle part of the race and be still able to fight towards the closing stages. Bartosz Groszek has lost a couple of seconds, but exactly a couple of seconds actually. He's 1.8 seconds adrift behind Petr Semerád. Petr Semerád still leading the race. Bartosz Groszek 2.4 seconds behind. Now across the line, Petr Čížek further 3.7 seconds behind Groszek, and the times are dropping. Semerád did 1:37.2, Groszek did 1:37.7, so half a second slower. Petr Čížek 1:38.3, Milenko Vukovic 38.9, Václav Janík 38.6, so he has closed in on Milenko Vukovic, and he is getting into a potentially fighting position. This is his son Milan Vukovic, making his debut in the TCR, having driven the first, well, opening 2 rounds in the Renault Twingo Cup earlier on, scoring a 5th and 6th place the last time out in Austria, having scored nothing in Hungary previously. It is actually pretty difficult to differentiate or tell the two Megans apart from each other, because they have exactly the same livery, and the names do not help much. It's Milenko Vukovic and Milan Vukovic, which after abbreviating the name of the driver is M. Vukovic on both cars. So what is there? What else is there to be had to tell the two Megans apart? Well, I can tell you that. Milenko Vukovic driving the car number 75, Milan Vukovic, here we have him, driving the car number 76, and Milan Vukovic, the son, he has got yellow highlights here and there. So if you look carefully, you'll notice that the headlamp covers and wheels are golden on the car number 76, on Milan Vukovic's Megane, whereas on Milenko Vukovic's car, the headlamps are, well, nearly dark black and or sort of dark grey, and so are the wheels. I actually spent some time in the garage yesterday of the Vukovic Motorsport team trying to tell the cars apart, and I was having a look, and it was like playing one of those games, you know, spot 5 differences, and I was really struggling with it until I actually had to be told, look at the headlamps, look at the wheels, they're different. Well, to my defense, the wheels weren't on the cars at the time when I was there, so it was really hard to say which wheels would go on to which car, but yeah, the headlamps was the only differentiator at that point. And the bonnets were up, so I could also admire the key differences of the slightly newer and slightly older evolution of the Megane that has been developed directly by the team. So with no help of the factory itself, it was actually Vukovic Motorsport themselves who have developed the Megane RS for the racing activities. And there are subtle differences to the cooling arrangement if you check under the bonnets of the cars, and also the suspension is a little different. So the newer car is a little more stable, is a little nicer to drive, although if I remember well, gives you a little fewer opportunities or possibilities to set the car up. But overall it seems to be driving a little better. Either way, Milenko Vukovic with extra 40 kilograms and in the older car, currently on the way to 4th place in this race, having broken off a little and pulled away from Václav Janík. Václav Janík is here, being under pressure from Sebastian Steibl. Václav Janík, his team is on a high these days. I already mentioned in the beginning, their team scored a significant success. A 1-2 victory at Spa-Francorchamps last week in Belgium in the European TCR with the brand new Elantras. And both drivers, Joachim Galasch and Mathieu Hommela, were also congratulated by a touring car legend, Tom Coronel, who joined them on the rostrum in P3. So that was a big moment for the team. Maybe the good mood and the overall joy was then a little hampered on the way home when the team's truck collected a puncture and had to spend significant time on the hard shoulder somewhere on the way back from Belgium. So yeah, the truck arrived very nearly sort of just in time to quickly repack everything and get going and set off to Poland. But the team made it, and they were present here already on Thursday for the testing sessions. It was a full day of testing. All the cars that were present were basically divided into two categories, and or two main categories, let me say, regarding the Asset Cup Championships, and they were alternating 8 times during the day, so there were 8 possibilities for everybody to do a test. Not everyone used all of the possibilities. Either way, then came Friday and the free practice and the qualifying. And today we are watching the first race of the weekend, and then tomorrow race number 2. There is not going to be a second qualifying as is usual in the TCR, because in the TCR we are deciding the order on the starting grid by the results of the first race, with a certain number of positions reversed, and it's always between 6 and 10, and it is the job of the race 1 winner to actually draw a number. So that's going to be interesting, and Petr Semerád is currently the one who is having the biggest chances to be the one to actually annoy everyone else with a terrible pick. We'll see. Basically, he will be hoping for 6 to appear when he draws the number. The worst thing he can pull out, of course, is number 10. That would mean that he would be demoted all the way down to 10th for the start of tomorrow's race. And overtaking is rather hard here in Poland. There are chances, there are possibilities, but you'll notice that we do not see that much of overtaking action around here today. And it actually seems that the gaps are opening up. Petr Semerád, with 3 minutes left on the clock, is leading the race, and he is potentially on the way to score his first ever and Yannick Motorsport's second victory of the season. It was Joachim Galasch victorious in race number 2 in Hungary with the Elantra, and now it is probably time to give the I-30 a victory as well. But that is still, well, not really far away, but really depending on how you look at it. You've got to stay calm. The pressure is off Petr Semerád because Bartosz Groszek has not really been able to keep the pressure on and stay close together with Petr. So there is already 5.5 seconds between them, and that is a significant lead, 2 laps from home. Petr Semerád, he scored his first ever pole position in the Eastern European TCR yesterday, and he will definitely want to take also the first victory, which would make it 5 out of 5, remember. And so we have got 1 minute exactly left on the clock, just as Petr Semerád drives under the entrance bridge through the last right-hander and into the final lap of race number 1 of the Eastern European TCR here in Poznań. Last year, this was the location for the debut victory for Bartosz Groszek, who had not competed in the opening 2 rounds of the season, only actually started here in Poland and immediately won the second race of the weekend. And he definitely wanted to score another home victory today, but that is very probably not going to happen. Still a couple of corners left. The time will be up very shortly. Bartosz Groszek is a long way away, already over 6 seconds adrift behind Petr Semerád. Petr Semerád. And it is slightly becoming a reality for the young Czech driver. Ooh, he now, unsettled his I-30 in that back part of the track. He has to avoid the sausage curbs because they bite and they send your car spinning, which is the last thing you want to do on the last lap of the race. Petr Semerád, young driver, a 21-year-old who has also cut his teeth rallying, is now entering the big world of the touring car winners. Petr Semerád, having scored pole position yesterday, takes victory in race number 1 here in Poznań. Petr Semerád making it 5 out of 5, and he's a 5th different winner in 5 opening races of the season. Hats off to the young driver from the Czech Republic, who has beaten the local hero. Bartosz Groszek posed a big risk and lots of pressure on him. Bartosz Groszek did absolutely everything he wanted on that opening lap of the race. He immediately overtook Václav Janík into the first corner and then dealt with Petr Čížek. But despite piling on pressure on Petr Semerád, he never really got into any realistic chance, never really got to try anything on Petr Semerád, and in the end even dropped off. It seems that his tires really couldn't keep up with the pressure and with the speed